Hey everybody, Naked Trevor here, back again, talking about the nerdy stuff that I love. Today, it's Metroid Dread. What a game. So I've always been a huge fan of the Metroid series. I didn't have a Super Nintendo or the original Nintendo, so I really didn't play them until 2002 when Metroid Fusion came out and Metroid Prime. At the time, I think I was 18 years old, and I was hooked. Absolutely loved it. I've always been into the handheld gaming, and Metroid Fusion was just awesome, and it really got me into the series. I've heard about it over the years. I knew about it from a friend of mine who loved it, but I never played it, never had a chance to play it. All I knew was what it was about, the art style, and it was enough to have my interest. So when I finally did play it, yeah, I was hooked. Fan for life. I didn't get to play Super Metroid until Nintendo released them on the Virtual Consoles, which I think the first time was on the Wii. And when that came out, I absolutely loved it. Zero Mission, another fantastic game. So I'm a really big fan of the 2D Metroids. They're just some of my favorite games. So this game, I was pretty hyped for. The Return of Samus that came out in 2017, the same year that the Switch came out, it was good. I liked it, but I feel like the things that Mercury Steam contributed to the game, the melee counter and the Aeon abilities, I just didn't care for them. And, the game overall took me a long time to beat it because it just didn't hold my interest. And the controls on the 3DS, they're just terrible. Absolutely terrible. Made no sense that the game came out on the 3DS instead of the Switch, too. It was a poor choice on their part all around. Okay, so with all that being said, my first impressions of the game were, wow, absolutely stunning. The visual presentation is some of the best I've seen on the Switch, especially if you have the OLED. But it is just as good to play it on the big screen. The camera work really stands out. For a 2D game, it's remarkable. Very cinematic presentation. The lighting and animation are some of the best I've seen on the Switch. The particle effects and the fog effects, water effects, all very impressive. The Emmy zones had a really cool film grain that reminded me of security footage. The environments were amazingly detailed, yet I felt like they needed more distinct variety between the sections. Like, when you're in Brinstar, when you're in No Fair, in Super Metroid, you know where you are. When you load up the game and you're at whatever save point you were last at, you immediately know where you are. Whereas with this game, they're all very interchangeable. There's subtle differences to the environments, and you have your hazardous environments, but none of it is that memorable like it needed to be. The environments really were gorgeous, which definitely helps to make the game want you to explore it more. But they just needed a larger variety, something just very impactful to tell them apart. The controls are great, really tight and responsive. It's absolutely a joy to control Samus. Extremely impressed at how right they got it, especially after Return to Samus. I was kind of worried. The 60 FPS definitely helps this game. But talking about the controls, I hated the melee. I don't think the melee belongs in Metroid. I think that this game would have been exponentially better if you removed the melee entirely from it. It just would have changed the game fundamentally. The way the power-ups are implemented into the control scheme was brilliant. It never felt cumbersome and never had to fidget with trying to switch between things. It was all very flowing, very natural, and that part was really good. However, the way that you get them, the progression of them, I feel like just it seemed out of place. The morph ball was too late. The power bomb was also too late in the game. When you get the screw attack too early, it just didn't make any sense. And then as you got the power-ups, a lot of them negated the previous ones. So once you get the space jump, you're never going to use the grapple beam again. it just didn't make any sense. And there were a lot of examples like that where it was like, well, I got this one thing, I'll never use the previous stuff ever again. And it was something that I feel like they missed the mark on. They could have done it better. I can't stress enough how much I disliked the melee. I wish they would have made it more optional. The fact that every single boss fight had it, and some of them it was a requirement to beat the boss, it felt like quick time events. And why is this here? This it makes no sense. I kind of wish they would have dialed back the action, and I think the melee, if that was removed, would have changed the feel of the game. It would have felt more like an actual Metroid game. Okay, so spoiler warning, because I'm going to talk about the story a little bit. Thought it was an interesting continuation from the last two 2D games, Metroid 3 and 4. The fact that they incorporated the Metroid Blood storyline and the Parasite. That's where all of the fans wanted to see this go. We were all wondering where and what was going to happen next, but I feel like the Chozo stuff was forced. I don't think it was necessary. I understand that they're trying to incorporate it all, make the fans aware when Metroid 4 comes out, but it felt forced. It felt unnecessary. I didn't really like the whole Ravenbeak being father thing. I thought that was stupid. I don't know. I just wish they wouldn't have done that. Everything else was great, and I liked the fact that she kind of metamorphs into a Metroid. However, the visual execution of it was just stupid. It looked to me like one of the Hive from Destiny. Like if you've seen what a Metroid looks like, they had this kind of clear, like you can see through them. And immediately I thought, well, why doesn't she look like that? If she had a clear suit with the, you could see the underneath, see the Zero suit underneath, whatever it may be, would have been a lot cooler than just making her look like one of the Hive from Destiny. Like, I don't get it. Like, imagine if it wasn't the Chozo. Imagine on Planet ZDR, instead of it being Ravenbeak and this whole backstory of, like, the Chozo choosing the Metroids and they were choosing the Parasite X to, be their weapon of war. What if it was just Ridley, the Parasite X, mimicking Ridley on this planet, and space pirates? Like, it could have been so much easier, so much more simple, and it would have been more fun, I feel like, if it was less related to this kind of weird giving Samus more backstory between her and the Chozo and this, Ravenbeak's her father or whatever. I just wish it would have been more simple. She's a bounty hunter. It could have been more fun. They could have incorporated the same story elements between the Metroid and the X and done the exact same thing, just without the Chozo and the Ravenbeak and all that dumb shit. So yeah, final thoughts. This was a really good game that fell short of being great. I have a bias. I like these games a lot. I'm a huge fan of the Metroid series, so I still really enjoyed it. I just feel like there were a lot of things that they could have done much better. I didn't really care for the melee and the return of Samus, so when it was here, well, damn, that sucks. And they chose to do it more action over atmosphere, and that's really disappointing. The music is good, but none of it's terribly memorable. Their environments are stunning and amazingly detailed, but not very distinct. There's not much variety to them. So I really like the game, but I doubt I'll play it as much as I've played the other ones. I doubt it has that kind of replayability for the longtime fans, because it falls short on all these things that make what the fans like about these games great, So it's kind of a shame. I was really hoping that they'd knock this one out of the park, seeing the level of polish that they put into the game. But ultimately, it's hard to recommend this one because the average person isn't going to be able to deal with the difficulty of this game. And the fans is too much different than the previous entries. Then I don't know. I just don't think you'll like it very much if you're a big fan of the old stuff. So it's hard to say. I got the special edition thanks to a friend with some crazy flipping fingers, so that is pretty impressive. They did a great job on the art book. Usually these things are cheap and they're very small, not much to them, but this is actually really well done. So Nintendo, great job. But other than that, yeah, it's hard to say if I'll play this one again. Probably not. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.